that this is a battle that defies every stereotype you have of World War I. There are no trenches at this battle. This is a battle that goes more or less to plan, at least for the Allies. This is a battle that involves a lot of movement, it involves a lot of fluidity, and it has a decision at the end. So in that regard, it's unlike the Somme, it's unlike Verdun, it's unlike Passchendaele, it's unlike even the Meuse-Argonne, these battles that we kind of look at and we say, well, what really came of this? What really happened? This is a battle that is decisive on the strategic sense. It's a battle that literally changes the way that World War I happens. The top image is of French tanks fighting at the Second Marne. This is a battle that armor and advanced weaponry are very important in. It is, in that regard, a battle that, in my mind, looks much more like something out of, say, 1939 or 1940 than it does something out of 1914. This is a way of showing how important this technology was, modern technology, modern methods of fighting war, modern doctrine, modern strategy, all of that to this battle. This battle, the Second Battle of the Marne in 1918, looks nothing like the First Battle of the Marne in 1914. It is as if they came from two different centuries. That the Western Front for the Allies needs one commander. That the British can't run their war, the French can't run their war, the Americans can't run their war. There needs to be a single commander for the Western Front. And they sit down and they think about who they're going to name to this very important job of overall commander-in-chief. They all know it has to be a Frenchman because so much of the front line is French. And as you can see here, the French have 100 infantry divisions in the field, the British have 58. So it's going to go to a Frenchman. Is a deal that Foch will conduct what is called strategic direction of the Allied armies. And what Foch is already thinking about is not just stopping the German offensive, but stopping it and then caving in the entire western half of this salient, because there's not going to be anything there to stop it. And this is really, really important to the overall story of the Second Marne. Foch is thinking from a very early stage, we're not just going to play defense, which is what we've been doing since March 21st. We're going to look for the point where we can stop the Germans and then turn the entire momentum of this war. And this is the place where we can do it if we play our cards right. 35,000 German POW. Anybody know what happens at Amiens, the famous phrase that's always linked to the Battle of Amiens? 8 August 1918, the Germans take 20,000 POWs. That is, 20,000 Germans surrender. This news gets back to Erich Ludendorff, the commander of the German army, the quartermaster general, and he says this is the black day of the German army. And every book you will see written by a Brit, Colonel Johnson shaking his head, so I'm assuming I got this right. If you can find me a book about 1918 written by a Brit that doesn't have that phrase in it, I'll give you $1. Okay? The black day of the German army. Well, twice as many German soldiers surrender at Second Marne than surrender at Amiens. And as I tell my British audiences, I spoke on this in England, this is not to denigrate the British. There were 4 British divisions at this battle too. It is just to say that the turning point of 1918 is Second Marne. It is not Amiens. Another pet rock of mine. You cannot write the French army out of this war after 1917, as far too many historians have done. 100 divisions on the Western Front. The largest army is French. This battle, the overall strategic coordination is French. All of the army commanders are French. The bulk of the soldiers are French. The bulk of the equipment is French. The tanks the Americans drive, the airplanes they fly, the machine guns they shoot are all French. You can't write the French out of this war, and that's something I'd be happy to talk about in Q&A. It's very interesting when you read memoirs written right after the war. The British cannot say enough nice things about the French. In the 1930s, when you read memoirs written by the same people, they can't say enough bad things about the French. But that comes later. That comes in the 30s.